Hello, welcome to my little tutorial on blessing beads. I'm so glad that you're interested in doing these because these are one of my absolute favourite things. You can use them in lots of ways, and you might have seen these in some of my talismans. I pretty much use them like this, so you should put about 3 of them on the bottom of a talisman in different little lengths like that, with chains and ribbons coming off them, and they've got little words in them. You can also use them, of course, as a necklace. You just need to put them together with a little jump ring. Where's my little demo jump rings? Those little things. Oh, there we go, with little jump rings. So you just need to put one in between each of those, and you can make yourself a necklace. Of course, you can make earrings. You can make bracelets. You can do whatever you like with them. They're so much fun. I'm sure you're going to come up with heaps more ideas than I can even think of. As far as what you need to put in them, I've used some tubing that was actually in the garage. This is fantastic because anyone who's handy and seems to do lots of things has this tubing. I don't know, they seem to use it in cars to suck oil out and do things like that. That's where I find mine, but I know you can buy it from hardware stores. For this demonstration, I've used 5mm wide. You can use whatever size you like, because of course you can use different size beads, so it's just a matter of just experimenting. It really is one of those little crafts, like one of those handed down recipes almost, that I can't really say to you get this exact size for this exact thing. I'm just giving you some suggestions, and particularly on this one. So of course, if you've got great big thick tubing, you could put great big beads inside it, so you just need to muck around. For the 3.6 little glass beads, and I've actually used a mixture of found beads and things as well, so I don't even know what size all of these are. What I've actually done is just see what fits inside the tube and then decided to use it. But these 3.6 ones, because I had a couple of packets, they fit into the 5mm tubing perfectly, so if you wanted to go with that. So you need your tubing, you need your beads and little things, like little beads that can thread on. Then you need bead caps. These will go on the end of the, there we go, these will go on the end of the beads to cap them off, obviously. These come in lots of different styles, and for the 5mm tubing, I've used 8mm and 10mm bead caps. They're the ones I had. Now I'm saying that because I measured these, because one lot of these, I think the 10mm ones, actually came off a bracelet that I'd commandeered and saved from somewhere, and the other one was a packet, and they were 8mm bead caps, so that's what they look like. You can also use rivets, anything with a hole in it that's sort of flat or even domed that can go over the end of that bead, and it's got a hole through it that we can thread the next thing I'm going to tell you to get an eye pin through. So that's all you need that's what you need as well. And the other thing you need is eye pins, and get the longest eye pins, of course, because they're going to have to go through this. Okay, as far as the tubing's concerned, you need to, it's another one of those, how long's a piece of string? You need to sort of work out how long your eye pin is, how big your beads are, how big your end caps are, because these can be all different, these bead caps, different thicknesses, okay, and how many beads and all that. I worry about the words and what I'm going to put in it afterwards, but I sort of work out the logistics here, and pretty much I work it out by putting it together, seeing on just a random piece, bit bigger than what I think, and then I work it out. This particular project, I worked out that 15mm with this eye pin with these glass beads, because some glass beads can be, and some other beads can be longer than others. I did use, I think I might have shown you already, but I did use some little mother of pearl square beads that were off a necklace of mine that had broken, and of course they're going to be a different thickness and length. Doesn't matter how many I use, so they're the sort of things you've got to take into consideration. So I'll show you how to put one together, and then as far as your length's concerned, you need to work that out yourself. If you're making a necklace or a bracelet, you might want to have them all different lengths, and that's perfectly okay. You might want to have them all really uniform. So what I do then is I do my first one, I make sure my other beads are pretty even, and then I measure the first one, and then I cut the other tubing to match. Cutting the tubing is really easy. I just use a pair of scissors, it snips straight off, and I never worry too much about it being perfectly straight, because honestly it seems to work out. I try to get it as straight as possible, just give it a little bit of a bend. And if it's really cold, I find just warming the tubing up in my hands a little bit first, or straighten it up a little bit. That's a nice little tip for you. As far as the words to put in there, all I've done here is print these on a piece of parchment paper. Of course, you can print them onto fabrics, you can handwrite them, you can use just little bits of fabrics. You might want to draw a little picture to go in there. Whatever you think of, that would be great. So as I said, they're your beads, but I'm just going to show you these are a little printed one to give you a good idea. So we've got our little components here. I like to get them all ready. I'm going to make a happy bead because I'm going to make a whole set of these ones. So what you need to do is to get your little eye pin, okay, and decide on which colour bead you're going to put on the end. And you put your bead on first, and then, oh look at that, I've got two different end caps, bead caps. Then you put your bead cap on, like so many things like this. They sometimes don't have a hole in them. So you have to sort of wiggle around. There we go. There we go. Patience is a virtue. So we just put on like that. So he's got his little hat on. Okay. And then we thread our beads on. So it's always easier to thread your beads on sort of before you put your tube on, I found. I don't know why. It's just the way that it is. So there we go. So I think I worked out, and you see with these, some of them are really thin and some of them are quite thick. So you might want to do them alternate like I have here. You might want to do them in tons of different ways. It's up to you. And sometimes you have to give them a bit of a push. Now some of the beads, particularly if you're using older beads, you might find that some of them are a bit too wide, but some in the lot or in the pack, if you're using a pack, aren't. So sometimes not all the beads in the pack are going to be suitable. So that's perfectly okay. Just use them for another project afterwards. Okay, so we've got that together now and we've pushed the tubing on. So the next thing we're going to do is cut up a little word and get that ready. Of course, that's not the word because it's a piece of blank paper. That would be pretty boring. Okay, so I'm just going to cut up my little word, okay? And then to make it easier, what I do is I try not to bend it in half, but I just try to curve it over a little bit. It does make it easier to slip in. And then I'm just going to slip it in. Okay. I usually get another eye pin. As I said, some of the beads that you'll use, you'll find are thicker than others. So and others will be thinner, so they'll just rattle around heaps. There we go. So then I just push the word into where I want it to be. Then we're going to finish it off. It's like making a bead sandwich. Okay. So there's the other end cap. And another bead. Okay. And now we're going to finish it. So what we want to do, obviously, is, because this is going to be able to be joined from end to end, we need to turn that over. So what you're going to need is a pair of round nosed pliers. This is where good jewellery, well, they don't have to be good as in costly, but a set of jewellery tools is really good. And look, honestly, when I'm making things, all you need, I know they have these great big kits with a million different tools, what you really need is a pair of flat nose, long nose pliers. These are flat on the edges and really long. I find these are fantastic to get into little tight spaces to do things. A little pair of wire cutters, and you may find the little pair like that as well, which that cuts things off flat in areas, but these are the definites you need. These are optional. And then a pair of round nose pliers. Okay, so they're completely round. These are great, and you can get these at all your craft stores and $2 stores. Now what you're going to do is turn that over. This can be fiddly sometimes, and I'm hoping this just happens easily. This time round. I'll sing to it to make sure that it does. Okay, so what you're doing is you're just making a little loop. That's all you're doing. Oh yes, it's going to work fantastically. You're such a champion this time round. That's it. You have to praise this jewellery making stuff, so it'll be good next time. So there we go. Oh, he's lost his little hat there a little bit. Oh dear, oh dear. See, I spoke too soon. Now he's being terrible. Okay, So as I said, these can be quite fiddly, and then other times I've made them and they just come together well. Oh, there we go. Because they're glass beads, they're not plastic beads. I do prefer to use the glass ones, because even though the plastic ones, yes, they're also uniform and perfect, it's just that little imperfection, the little bobbly bits that I love so much, and I can forgive them their annoying tendencies to not fit properly all the time and to go a bit of kilto. I can be patient, so I get that lovely look at the end. Okay, so there's a little happy bead, and it says create. So we could be very happy there with our red and yellow there. I actually did it in these very bright colours so you could see what was happening, but you might like those really, really, really bright ones as well. They have their purpose. Now the other thing that you can do is if you wanted this to be the end of something, so if you're using them as dangles or as earrings and you don't want anything underneath them, you can use the end pins, she says, and can't find any. Hang on, there's one. It just looks like a great big pin or a nail, and sometimes they come with decorative things on the end, and you can finish them off as well with just a really nice bead on the end and your little bead cap, like so. So see the difference from that to that? That's got your little, that's one's got your little loop, so you can loop things through, and that one's just got that. Then you could put that on the end, so that'd be good for earrings like that. So there's another option as well. And those eye pins and the end pins, you just find those in your jewelry making supply areas. So that's the easy peasy way to do your little blessing beads. These are great. They're very addictive. I find these, I can sit there and I just get into, they're like a blessing meditation exercise in themselves to create them. I love making them as gifts for people as well, and so they can go off and do things with them themselves. They're, if you're using if you're using paper in there, make sure that you don't go in the water, obviously, with them, all right? And also, because the vinyl tubing is vinyl, you'll have to be careful, like you should do with all jewelry anyway, and not spray hairspray or perfume and things like that directly on them. And just treat them with love and care, because they're created by you. Have fun. I would love to see your examples. You can post them over to me. I would absolutely adore to see them. As I said, the sky really is the limit. You can put whatever you like in there. If I haven't mentioned it already, if you are putting things like sand and things like that in there around that, you're going to need to seal them off somehow. And you can do that with a dob of, very small dob of glue gun glue. I've done it myself. It does show up a bit, so if you feel like having the sparkly glitter glue gun glue, you can do that and be really sparkly. I've made a set of fairy ones for a little girl last year, and that's how I did it, because we put some the sparkly glitter inside them, and they looked very beautiful. So I might dig out some photos of those so I can show you, or you can just go and experiment yourself. Have so much fun with those blessing beads, and as I said, I'd love to see your creative gypsy efforts. Thanks for joining me. Have fun.